Hello there, I'm Jessy Chahal. Thanks for joining me right here on the Nation Update, coming to you at about 2:15 p.m. wherever you are across the nation. Welcome and thanks for being with us, and thanks for sticking to Bernama TV as we bring you the latest and most verified news. Here's a quick look at today's Parliament sitting. A quick recap. Today is the first meeting, in fact, of the fourth term of the 14th Parliament, and has been opened by Yang di-Pertuan Agong Al Sultan Abdullah. Now, this is the first session under the government led by Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, who's only been in office for about 3 weeks. Today's sitting of the Dewan Rakyat will focus on the speech by the King. Now, based on the calendar of the Dewan Rakyat meeting, this session will be for 17 days and will go up right till October 12th. Meanwhile, the Dewan Negara sitting, to be open simultaneously with Dewan Rakyat sitting, will take place from October 4th and will go on right up till October 26th. And so, of course, on a day-to-day basis, we'll be marking a lot of the highlights that have been coming out or that will be released from these discussions and this sitting. Now, in the meantime, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong told the country's elected representative this. In His Majesty's own words, verbatim, he said, "My advice to all honourable members, do not ever gamble with the future of my nation to pursue your agenda." He was stern when he said that, and he went on to say, "Hence, I appeal to all honourable members to put focus back on efforts to combat the COVID-19 pandemic so we can return the light to my people." Indeed, soft and light words for us as the Rakyat to hear, knowing that this is a serious situation, and when it called for action, the Yang di-Pertuan Agong has stepped forward to say something that will perhaps, remind these leaders and resonate with them as well. In his royal address, when opening the first meeting of the fourth session of the Dewan Rakyat today, His Majesty Yang di-Pertuan Agong said, "Efforts for bipartisan and consensus approach in managing the nation is the way forward." Tuanku also urged the newly minted government to double its efforts to fight the pandemic. Well, we're still with Yang di-Pertuan Agong. He's, of course, got a lot to say on this first day. His Majesty has also called upon the government to accelerate the nation's economic recovery by drafting business and investment-friendly policies to boost the nation's competition or how they can be more competitive. Now, he says the right amount of expenditure should also be provided to fund public health measures, provide assistance to affected groups, as well as support to boost business activities in line with the opening up of the economy. His Majesty has also welcomed the government's commitment to drive the growth of the country's economic performance. A lot of these salient points have been underscored and underlined by the King, and of course, he is stressing for all of us to be safe, not just health-wise, but as a nation economically as well. Now, the government and Pakatan Harapan leaders will sign an MOU on bipartisan cooperation. Representatives from the government and the opposition say that they have finalized this memorandum of understanding on proposed reforms to ensure political stability in the fight against COVID-19, of course, to safeguard the lives and livelihoods of people. In a joint statement, they collectively say that signing would take place at the Parliament Banquet Hall at about 5 p.m. today. Indeed, this is such a milestone. There's been a lot of chatter and desire for this. And here we are today at 5 p.m. We will perhaps witness this take place. Now, with this MOU, both sides say they will give focus and priority to the new political landscape through transformation and reform initiatives, in particular strengthening the role of parliamentary institutions. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong has come to say or thank the national athletes as well who participated in the Tokyo Olympic Games, Paralympic Games, as well as the COVID-19 frontliners for their contributions to the country. Indeed, we've just seen the close of the Paralympics in Tokyo. The Yang di-Pertuan Agong has asked all MPs and in the Dewan Rakyat to stand up to give them a round of applause to these very many groups. The Agong also thanked civil servants, especially the armed forces, the police, and other government agencies who have continued to provide their services to ensure Malaysia remains safe, respected, and a prosperous country, indeed, identifying and recognizing all these silent heroes and contributors to the glory of our nation, towards economic recovery as well, and just people who stand by and ensure the smooth running of the daily operations of this country. Malaysia has recorded 107.5 billion ringgit in foreign and domestic investments for the first half of this year, signaling, of course, strong investor confidence in the country. Senior Minister of International Trade and Industry says the total investment, primarily in the manufacturing, services, and primary sectors, soared 69.8% compared to the same period last year, which showed the country was on its way to vibrant and sustainable economic recovery. Furthering that, many NGOs have been pushing and waiting for this. An anti-sexual harassment bill is expected to be tabled in Dewan Rakyat this year. Hopefully, with the new government, this will also call upon some of the important reforms that need to be tabled. Now, according to the Women, Family and Community Development Minister, they are waiting on the Attorney General Chamber's approval before the bill is brought to the Cabinet for approval. And a total of over 227,000 COVID-19 vaccine doses were administered just yesterday under the COVID-19 Vaccine Supply Access Guarantee Special Committee. In a series of tweets, in fact, it said that 91.3% of Malaysia's adult population have received at least one dose of vaccine, while 73% are now fully inoculated. We see that number rising and increasing every day. There is progress. We will be getting to the end of that line to meet our target and our goal in just a short time. Now, move on to some news internationally. The UN chief calls for international cooperation to address a global health crisis and reduce some of the important salient issues like poverty that of course affects not just one or two countries but many countries across the globe. Now, in the UN, the Secretary General Antonio Guterres is calling for deeper international cooperation to address the global health crisis and reduce poverty and inequality. Guterres also calls for building inclusive and resilient societies, empowering women and youth, leveraging digital, greener and bluer initiatives, and expanding sustainable financing, while also considering things like climate change, all such important issues that we need to speak up for and address on a daily basis as well. From there, let's move on to North Korea. It successfully test-fired a new type of long-range cruise missile. According to the DPRK, the development of this weapon system, they say, holds strategic significance, quote unquote. That sounds like a big, bold statement as well. Of course, if you keep it locked onto Bernama TV, we will bring you the latest updates. We are on Twitter and on social media as well. Leave us some of your thoughts, perspectives, and views of what's happening within the country. We'll be, happy to talk about it if and when we can. Moving on, the United Nations is convening an aid conference in Geneva in an effort to raise more than $600 million for Afghanistan, warning of a humanitarian crisis there following the Taliban takeover. Now, according to UN officials, even before the seizure of Kabul last month, half the population was dependent on aid, and that figure looks set to increase due to drought and shortages of cash and food. In fact, it is quite a grave situation there. And as we move on from that, we talk about vaccine accessibility as well. The British Prime Minister, Boris Johnson, says he will set out today his plans to manage the pandemic in the winter months, announcing a decision to scrap the introduction of vaccine passports and steps to end some emergency powers. And from there, in China, the number one high-temperature gas-cooled reactor, the HTGR of Xidaobei nuclear power plant, which is fully independently developed by China, received critically in East China's Shandong province. This is another milestone the nuclear power plant made this year after completing cold and hot functional tests for twin reactors, as well as its first fuel loading. Its unit is expected to start generating power within this year. Well, that has been what I have on the plate to share with you today. Of course, we are tuning in to watch what's happening at the Parliament, and as more updates unfold, we will of course share that with you as well right here on the Nation Update. Now, the Malaysian Parliament, in collaboration with the Health Ministry and the National Security Council, has developed several special SOPs to ensure the smooth running of the current Parliament's meeting to reduce the risk of COVID-19 transmission. The Health DG has stepped up to say that SOPs include attendees being fully vaccinated, having undergone an RT-PCR test within 3 days before entering the building. So stricter SOPs there, while many of us are enjoying more relaxed SOPs in phase 1 and phase 2 areas as well. Let's not forget that we still need to mask up. We still should stay home as much as possible, and we should still do all we can to abide by the rules and regulations set so that we can all be safe. And if you haven't got inoculated yet, here's a gentle reminder from me to you. Please sign up for your vaccination. The My Sejahtera app has been updated. It's in fact pretty fantastic. Well, thank you very much for tuning in, and do keep it locked on to Bernama TV. We'll be bringing you the latest. I'm Jessy Chahal. See you next time. Bye-bye.